its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We want to welcome our new audience, our TikTok audience, to this is only our third show on TikTok. Hey, I'm still learning the ropes about bringing people on, so we're not going to quite do that yet. We will starting probably in the next week, but let me tell you, if you've got a tax problem, if you're going up against the dreaded IRS, you do not want to miss the next 25 minutes. We have the greatest expert in tax relief. It's the law firm of Lance Drury. And I got to tell you, they've been with us about a year now. And we did our first TikTok show with, I'll never forget this for the rest of my life, that Lance Drury was our first TikTok show, and I was shocked how many people wanted to join in and listen. And we do 3 shows a month. And I got to tell you, we get so much positive feedback. You know, tax relief, there's so many scams out there, people who have not been happy with the companies they went with. Folks, forget about all this. This is an incredible company. You're going to learn so much about tax relief, and that there's so many things that the law firm of Lance Drury can actually do to help you to get that monkey off your back. Let me introduce you, my friend, attorney Lance Drury. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning, Steve. How are you? It's always great to start the week out with you. And I think it's going to be another glorious week. The weather's great. We're going to get some rain tomorrow here in the St. Louis area. But other than that, I think we're good for the week.
Well, Lance, I got to compliment you. You have been practicing law a long time, and you made a decision to go into targeting people who are having problems with the IRS. And you started off in the Missouri, Tennessee area. You've grown so much, you then went to Texas, Tennessee area. You have grown this area of law that I think is so important, what you do. And I'm just amazed at what you've accomplished with your firm.
Well, I'm sort of amazed as well, Steve. Years ago, I was just a small town lawyer. Don and I talk about this, how fast we've grown in the last 15 years. And about 10 o'clock at night, I'm sitting in my office and I see this advertisement from this guy in Colorado talking about tax resolution. So I get the books, I read the books. Then he puts on a seminar down in Tampa, Florida. So I went to that. And then he started this group in Denver, and I was one of the first people in his group. And then it just sort of mushroomed. At first, I was in Columbia, Missouri. And then one day I came in the office and I told the women, I said, in 30 days, we're going to go into St. Louis and we're going to be on the radio advertising. And it's just mushroomed since then. I've gone from about 60 clients to almost 1,000 clients at any one time, Steve. So we got to be doing something right.
Yes, exactly. What you've done with your firm, and you know, where most people our age are retiring, you're like that racehorse at the gate. You're ready to go.
Well, Steve, I don't have to work. I could retire, but I think I'd lose my purpose. I don't think retirement would be good for me. I love helping people out. My whole legal career has been devoted to helping the little guy against the overwhelming power of the government, first as a public defender, now representing taxpayers and businesses against the big bad wolf, Uncle Sam and the IRS.
You know, it's a fun. I know if I've shared this with you or not, but Lord's important to me, and it's amazing. Early this morning, Lance, I read a thing on Google about somebody who had signed up with one of these online tax companies and how they promote themselves. If there is a problem with their work, they stand behind it. They'll go up against the IRS with you. And this person had a major problem, thought they were saving money, Lance. And it turned out when they needed this company who advertises that they were going to stand by you, they weren't there, Lance. And I want people to know how important customer service is to your firm, and that sometimes trying to save a few bucks, it's better to do it the right way. And what I want to accomplish with this show is to let people know there's a way to fight the IRS, and don't try to do it on your own. Am I right, Lance?
Yes, you can't do it on your own, and why compete on price? I mean, if you had to have heart surgery, you wouldn't look for the cheapest heart surgeon. It's the same way in tax resolution. Unfortunately, there's a lot of scam artists out there. There's a lot of people that are just lazy practitioners. They don't want to do the work. I don't do this because I have to, Steve. I do it because I genuinely want to help people. And I tell everybody in the initial consultation, if you don't hire me, there's 3 rules. Hire an attorney that does this every single day. Accountants are great with the numbers, but they just dabble in IRS stuff because 90% of what they do is tax preparation. And so all of my attorneys all over the place have seen accountants give atrocious advice to their clients when it comes to dealing with the IRS. We spend 50 to 100 hours or more a year just keeping up on this. And I have a preference for attorneys. I'm sure there's some great enrolled agents out there, but lawyers are specifically trained in argumentation and negotiation. Accountants are not, enrolled agents are not. The second rule is go local. We have people in all these places. And number 3, don't hire one of the big boys like you talked about, Steve. There's a lot of scam artists out there. They'll take $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and then they call me because nothing ever got done. And this happens all the time where people hire those companies and then they come to us to get their problem rectified because those guys just don't do anything for you.
Lance, I want to do this because I'm getting so many questions now from the TikTok. I want to get a couple of those in before I talk about your firm. Someone just wrote, what tax mistakes that can lead to IRS audits?
Well, the problem is when they look at your tax return, if your income is understated, because most income has to be reported to the IRS so they can track whether or not your income listed on your tax return is good or not. But also expenses. If you have huge business expenses, that could trigger an audit. So there's a number of things on that tax return, particularly for businesses, and 70% of our clientele is small businesses. Those are the people that get in trouble because the taxes aren't automatically taken out. Either they're self-employed and they're not making estimated tax payments, or they're a small business, they have employees, and they're not paying their payroll tax. So, yeah, those are the things that can trigger an audit. So you have to be very careful. Be conservative in the preparation of your tax return, because if you get audited, particularly if it's an office audit with the IRS or they come out and do a field audit. That can be very costly. So, it takes a lot of time. They can expand the audit. So don't try to mess around with Uncle Sam and save yourself a few bucks on your tax return. It's just not worth it because of the fear of being audited.
Yeah, someone asked just now, they want to know, if I hire a firm like yours, does the IRS look down on me?
No, I have never found that to be a problem. Now they will tell you if you call them up, oh, you don't need an attorney. You can do this on your own. Of course, because guess what? They take advantage of lay people. And I can give you the biggest example of that. People think they can do it on their own. They call up the IRS. They get an agreement. Then they call my office. And the first words out of their mouth are, I can't afford the monthly payment. And I'll go, then why did you agree to do this? And they go, because the IRS told me I had to do this. That's not true. They're taking advantage of people. It's all based on your ability to pay it back. 85 to 90% of our clients never pay back the full amount. 10 to 15% never pay a dime. But it's a lot of work for the taxpayer. It's a lot of work for us because we have to prove to the satisfaction of the IRS that you don't have the ability to pay it all back. So we go through financial statements, bank statements, credit card statements, debit card statements, because for certain categories of expenses, the IRS is going to need documentation. Anybody can put a number down on a piece of paper. That doesn't mean that that number is accurate. So we spend a lot of time making sure that those financial statements are 100% accurate for two reasons. Number one, the taxpayer is submitting that financial statement under penalties of perjury. And secondly, guess what? You give my firm bad numbers, we're going to give you bad advice. So we got to make sure the numbers are right.
I want to get this question too. It wants to know, first of all, thank you for bringing a show like this to TikTok. I'm really enjoying the show. Can I claim the child care credit and or dependent care credit?
Well, that's a question for an accountant. I don't deal in that. I do have a tax planning accountant, but I don't deal in all of those issues. I used to be I'm not a tax attorney. I'm a tax resolution. And a lot of people go to a tax planning attorney for tax resolution, and that's not the best thing to do. So that scope is that what we do here is very narrow, although we have people in-house who could answer that question for you. And if you want to reach out to my office, call us, tell us your question, and I'll get somebody on it to get back with you right away.
What is your website address, Lance?
It's lancedrurylaw.com.
Here's one. Oh, we're getting a lot of these. Who qualifies for the forgiveness program?
Well, if you're talking about, I think what you're talking about is for paying for less than the full amount. And so there's such a thing as, the offer in compromise. And so normally the people that qualify, it's driven by your income and your assets and your liabilities and also your household expenses. And so we're finding out in the Nashville area, very few people qualify for that because, Steve, I know I've said this before, but Nashville is the place to be in the Midwest now. Yes. And so people from California are coming in, they're paying $200,000 over the listed price, and your net equity and assets is a big factor in determining whether you're a good candidate for an offer in compromise. And 98% of our clients do not qualify for an offer in compromise in the Nashville area because of the net equity alone in their homes. So that's one thing you got to factor in. And then basically, you're relegated generally to the national standards. So if your actual expenses are in excess of the national standards, you're not going to get those for the most part when you submit an offer in compromise. So it's very formulaic. We can go through that, see if you're a good candidate for an offer, and basically tell you before we file the offer and compromise exactly what it is that you're going to have to offer the IRS for that offer and compromise to be accepted.
Lance, I'm going to have to remember that we've been doing the show for a long time. We're on so many platforms, but with the new platform, TikTok, I want people to know that when you talk to the IRS yourself, that many times, and Lance, I want you to talk about this, you can bury yourself even more by trying to talk to them instead of having a firm like Lance Drury represent you, correct?
Absolutely, Steve. I tell people in the initial consult, we do not want you to talk directly to the IRS. In fact, if they hire us, it's a condition of our continued representation that they not talk to the IRS, because talking directly to the IRS is like talking to the cops if you're charged with a crime. It's not a very good idea. What you say will be used against you. And this is what happens all the time. I've seen people with criminal charges simply because of what they said to the IRS. So you don't want to represent yourself. Like I said earlier, we spend 50 to 100 hours or more a year just keeping up with that. That's every single one of my attorneys. And next week, I'm going to have another day-long webinar. We do this year-round because they're the government. Things are constantly changing. And the other problem that people have, that when they do it on their own, they'll call them up. And in the automated collection system, those people are not properly trained. The IRS does not have the resources to have enough personnel, and they don't have enough resources to train those people. And if you call up, you won't know if those people are telling you the right thing or not. But we do, because this is all we do every single day. I'm at this 7 days a week, Steve. I went to my St. Louis office Saturday. I don't work till 3:30 in the afternoon on Saturdays anymore, but I still work every Saturday and Sunday morning for about 3 to 4 hours. And that's what you got to do. It's what you got to do, Steve. You got to put in the work. You got to do the time. You got to do that if you care about your client and want to get the IRS off their back.
It seems like every time we talk, Lance, you're always meeting clients on a Saturday, but it just shows where your heart is, how you run your firm. I've just been told by my TikTok agent to tell people, please tap on the screen if you like the show. Please tap on the screen. Lance, we don't use this as an advertising platform. We use it as an educational platform. But I want you to tell people why, if they're having a problem with the IRS, why they need to contact you and have you represent them.
Because we go the extra mile, Steve. We will go through those financial statements 3, 4, 5 times. Because like I said earlier, the taxpayer is submitting them under penalties of perjury. And, once you get the numbers, that's only the beginning. Then you have to use your lawyer's head and use those argumentation skills. I was in a webinar in Nashville before I put an office there. And the head of the American Society of Tax Problem Solvers said, I want to know who's a lawyer in this place. And out of over 100 people, there might have been 5 to 10 of us. And he looked at everybody else and said, you need to think more like a lawyer, because lawyers know how to use arguments to get what they want for their clients. And that's what we do. That's the edge that you get with lawyers. That's what our firm does. And I have the best set of practitioners that I've ever had. I got a guy in San Antonio that works 7 days a week. When he was in LA, Steve, he wanted to be on the same time frame as us. So we start work here at 7 in the morning because my legal assistants work 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. So him and his brother, who I also hired as an attorney, they started work at 5 a.m. in Los Angeles. He did it on his own. I didn't ask him to do it, but we have people here with a lot of initiative. I have great legal assistants. I have great lawyers. That's why we have 1,000 clients at any one time.
I want to share this with everybody. I guess about 3 months ago, we had a representative, a marketing representative from one of the biggest firms you see advertising on national television. And I take it back, he was an attorney, and he was listening to Lance's show, and he said, "How do I get on your show?" And I said, "Well, you can't." And he said, "I must tell you this, your expert really knows what he's talking about." I didn't need him to tell me that, but he was right. Lance, his firm, if you have a tax problem, you definitely don't try to handle this yourself. Lance, again, tell people your website address, the best way to reach your office.
It's lancedrurylaw.com. You can go there. You can get all of our local telephone numbers, our toll-free number. And I got to tell you, Steve, I am so happy that you reached out to me to have me come on your show. I mean, this is just fantastic. To be able to reach this many people at one time is just amazing. And I'm so pleased that you got me on your show, Steve. You do a great job, and I'm always happy to be here and to try to answer people's questions for them.
Hey, Lance, the check's in the mail, bro. Hey, Lance is with us the first Monday and the first Friday, and we will let you know. He has a third show. We'll let you know that date. Lance, we can't thank you enough. I'll always remember you were our first TikTok show, and by everything I'm reading on here, people love the show. We'll see you soon.
Okay, Steve. Great to be here.
Love you, but that's Lance, attorney Lance Drury. That's going to do it for us today. We are going to be staying on TikTok for a little bit longer, and we'll see. Hey, tomorrow we have our new show at 10 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.